because now we are talking to Chris, a guy coming from the golden state of California. And Chris says the justification for axioms. That is not a sentence. That is a fragment. What are the hey, Chris, fill in the blanks on this one. The justification for axioms. Let her rip. What do you got?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
So I'm asking for, because every worldview presupposes certain abstract concepts to fill its worldview, such as logic and truth. I'm asking for the justification and an account for those axioms.
Well, the short answer is because they work. Should I expand? I guess I will. So if we're talking about axioms, just so the audience knows what we're talking about, these are things that you presuppose in order to be able to function. So you've got the laws of logic, the laws of identity, the law of excluded middle, the law of non-contradiction are usually the three axioms that we presuppose. A thing is what it is. A thing is not what it is not, and a thing can't both be and not be at the same time. If we don't presuppose that that is universally true, then logic breaks down and communication becomes meaningless. If I could be talking to Johnny, or I could not be talking to Johnny at the same time, or neither, or both. Nothing makes sense. So we have to assume that in order to get what appears to be positive results. There are other axioms that people have proposed over time, but those are the three that I'm starting with. Is that a fair answer to your question?
Yeah, that's fair, but that doesn't really answer what I'm asking. I realize that every worldview automatically assumes these axioms, such as law of identity, law of non-contradiction, etc. But what I'm asking for specifically is a justification and an account for these worldviews, not the use of them themselves, but a justification for the axioms themselves.
Understood. And my justification was they work. That's my justification. Without them, I cannot communicate or have coherent thoughts. With them, I appear to be able to do so. If anybody can prove that they aren't true, I will reject them. But that's my justification. That's why they are axioms. Axioms typically are not something that you necessarily have evidence for, etc., other than they work. I don't know about you there, Johnny, if you have a different take on it.
No, sorry about that. No, they work. I function in my daily life. I'm never surprised by things in any kind of everything seems to follow the standard rules of logic. Everything seems to follow the standard rules, the laws of physics, cause and effect. Nothing is out of the ordinary. I've never experienced anything other than this. And if you insert some new concept into the worldview, it doesn't add anything. It doesn't add any predictive power. It doesn't enhance anything in any meaningful way. So I don't know if that answers your question either. Because I think you're specifically looking for you're specifically looking, I think, for us to nail down with certainty an explanation for why the world is and account for all of its multitudinous factors. Because you claim you have one, I'm assuming. I'm not putting words in your mouth there, Chris, but you assume you have one because, are you Christian?
Well, you're... No,
answer my question. Are you Christian or no? Are you Christian or no?
Yes, I'm Christian.
Okay, so sweet baby Jesus makes it happen. But no, Chris, stop. But, Chris, no, you wait a second. You are trying to put the burden on us to try to justify our worldview, whereas in fact you, as the Christian, are the one making an affirmative claim about the nature of the universe. And it's cool that you can shift the burden to us, and then we have to hem and haw, and we don't have solid answers. But in fact, the burden is on, we're not making an affirmative, at least I'm not making an affirmative claim about the nature of the universe. Okay. I'm just saying I live in the universe and this is the way it is. And I don't see a reason to believe in sweet baby Jesus coming down from heaven and sprinkling us all with his holy love, or we go to hell. I don't believe that's the case because I have no reason to believe that's the case. Now, as a Christian, I believe it's incumbent upon you to present us with a sufficient basis for believing that the claims of Christianity are true. And you could take this axioms conversation as a way to sort of to sidestep it, but I'm going to put it back on you. Why should we believe that sweet, dear, 8-pound, 11-ounce, pale-skinned, blue-eyed Jesus is real, and he has, again, the power to save us from our sins, and that even the concept of sins even makes sense? Prove to us that Jesus exists, and that he has all these powers.
Yeah, Hello, yes. I called in with the question, how do you guys justify your preconditions such as logic and truth? And the answer I got was, it works and they just are, which is arbitrary and ad hoc.
Let's clarify. Actually, let's clarify. I'm going to jump in right there. The answer you got was, I justify using them because they work. I didn't say that they are. I left that open to question if you rewind the tape. If they are ever shown to not be universal, if they are ever shown not to be effective or practical or true, I will change my mind. So you didn't get they just are. You got they work. There's other axioms that you accept all of these. You also accept the fact that we have to assume hard solipsism isn't true. I have to assume I'm not a brain in a vat, right? That's another axiom we all accept. Otherwise, we wouldn't care about any of this because we would be Neo in the Matrix and not have any idea what's really going on in the real world. So we answered your question. We use these tools because they work. An axiom is not a claim that this is a truism necessarily. An axiom is something that you accept, perhaps tentatively, because you need it to have any sort of coherent existence. Does that explain the difference here?
Listen, yes, I understand that you need it to form a coherent worldview, but what I'm asking for specifically is justification in an account for the axioms themselves. Not justification for the use of the axiom, a justification for the axiom itself. So basically, where does truth come from?
Let me ask you a question, because
this
I think we're
Mr. Batman.
Yeah, I think we're talking across each other here, because you're asking for justification of an axiom. You don't justify an axiom in that grammatical sense. You justify the acceptance or the use of an axiom. An axiom is an axiom. You don't justify it or not. So I think what you were asking is justify the acceptance of the axiom, which we have. They work, and it would be impossible to communicate with each other or to have any sort of coherent thoughts without them working. That's the justification. The other combination that on top of that layer on top of it, is humans try as hard as possible to accept as few axioms as possible. So we are diligent about the axioms we accept, and we reject those that are not needed. So I've named four. The three laws of logic and the rejection of hard solipsism as a practical matter. If I start there, I need all of those before I can start even talking to you, and you need them before you can talk to us. So you accept these axioms, you use these axioms. I don't think you justify the axioms because and I'm going to guess that your justification for them is some sort of presuppositionalist position that God creates axioms. I don't know why I keep doing that. But all that is a Band-Aid. That's just a mystery explaining a mystery. But sticking on the original question you had, if what you mean is justify your use of axioms, we've done so. Any other question seems to be incoherent. Can you explain where I'm getting this wrong?
No, I'm not asking to. No, I'm not asking to justify the use because we all use them and they work. I get that. What I'm asking for is to justify the axioms themselves. So where do these axioms come from, and what is the justification?
Maybe
humans made them up.
Yeah. Maybe would it be helpful for you? Would it be helpful, maybe helpful for us, I should say, if you could justify whatever axioms you have, and then maybe we could follow in your footsteps. Do that.
Wait, who said that humans made them up?
No, I asked a question though. Before we get back to that, the humans made anything up. Could you show us how you justify your axioms, and then maybe we could say ditto.
Yes. Well, all right. Well, the nature of truth and logic are that they are invariant, immaterial, and universal.
Are you reading right now, or did you get this script somewhere, or is this something that you've internalized?
I'm answering your question. Okay.
Are you reading it? Are you reading it? If so, could you share the PDF?
No, I'm just speaking.
Okay,
so
great.
The nature of truth and logic are that, the nature of truth and logic are that they are immaterial, invariant, universal. So at all times, it means the same thing everywhere. Invariant means it's not changing. Immaterial means it's not material. And that these concepts exist within the mind. Our minds can't justify or give an account for where these axioms originate from. So obviously, they need to originate from a mind that is invariant, immaterial, and universal. That mind is what we call the mind of God.
Okay, well, can you prove that a God exists?
Because logic and truth exist.
Well, that sounds like a just so to me.
Sure does.
Yeah.
It also contains several suppositions or premises that are getting smuggled in here. And I'm going to sort of go out on a limb a little bit here, but you seem to think of axioms as things that exist. They do not. We might be wrong about some or all axioms. So they don't exist. And I was the one who said we made them up, in the sense that we thought about it really hard, and we realize that these are the minimum assumptions we need to make sense of the world. But they are assumptions made by human minds. That's all they are. And they might be wrong. Look at quantum computing, where particles can be on and off at the same time. It's hinting at what if there is a possibility of an effect without a cause? What if the law of identity can be violated? We don't know. I'm not saying we've gotten there, but that's sort of the questions that it raises. These are models. These are logic rules that we have created in our minds to deal with our reality and to make sense of it. So they aren't truths like the law of gravity, so to speak. Like, it doesn't describe how necessarily the universe works on a physical level, and you seem to want to treat them as that. Am I misunderstanding you?
Well, you said that we don't know. That's what I heard in your. So how can you tell me that you don't know? You'd have to know that
we don't know what.
You told me that.
I said the phrase "we don't know," and you keyed in on it and decided to hook on that, and now you can't tell me what I was saying that about. So what did I say when I said we don't know? Did I say we don't know who's going to win the Super Bowl, or did I say we don't know about something else? This is the problem when you're working off of a script, or when you've got a particular agenda to a call. You do not actively listen because you've got a presuppositionless script and you're working off of it rather than engaging in an honest and open dialogue to try to understand each other. It feels like you're coming here with an agenda to try to spring some sort of trap. When somebody honestly says the phrase, "I don't know about something," you're like, aha, I've got them. I'm going to say that. And then when questioned on the context, you fall apart. So John wants to add something.
Yeah, Chris, pro tip. So when you're doing when you're putting up like a direct examination or a cross-examination document for when you're going into court or when you're calling an AXP, you don't want to do it in like a linear fashion like that. What you want to do is you want to organize your notes into certain chunks box with certain keywords that you want to get out so that you can quickly jump from one topic to the next, because you never know what your deponent or what the cross-examining witness is going to say. And so like what happened here, where cross-examiner asked you something, you lost your spot in the script. And so if you had done it like I had done it, they talk about like almost like flow charts, or like in chunks, like I said, little clouds with different concepts. It's hard to type that on a computer, but I managed to do it. I think that maybe and you know, that's free advice. That's free advice. You don't go to law school for that one. I think that my understanding, what cross-examiner was saying, was that these axioms, such as they are things that we have abstracted from experience. We existed in an animal or a semi-animal like nature. We started becoming more intelligent, and through experience, we sort of started codifying recurring concepts, recurring phenomenon into what have become what we sort of take for granted. How do we justify them? I don't think we justify them. We use them because they worked, and we continue to use them because they continue to work. And like you said, when we get into things like quantum mechanics, where the laws of cause and effect start breaking down, we see that we can't use them. We have to use different language. We have to develop different tools. And so you're suggesting, I think, Chris, and I might be wrong, and maybe it's in your notes, but that these rules, these axioms are there. They are ordained by an almighty, all-powerful, all-knowing mind. That is, to the extent that there's a brain, the cosmos is its brain. Or more importantly, since it's not, it's transcendent, it exists outside of the universe. And so existence itself is its mind. And it has laid down these rules in an objective fashion. And what I was trying to say is that, yeah, sure, it could be that, but now you've got to prove that such a thing exists. Or it could be like what I'm suggesting, which is that we humans have literally stumbled, broken our toes in the dark ignorance of our past, and have sort of fumbled our way into a certain set of rules that existence seems to hold. And we have a child's grasp of it, but it seems to function well enough for us to go to Mars, and for us to develop vaccines, and for us to have the internet, and for us to, drive really cool cars, I guess, or whatever other things that people do. I don't know what people do nowadays. So they work. That's how we justify continued use. As to where they came from, I don't know. The ancients stumbled on it. That's it. So I don't know.
Hey, yeah, thank you so much for being honest with me. You admitted that you don't know where these axioms are. My initial question was, where do these axioms come from, and how do you justify them? I'm not asking to justify use. We all know that they work. What I'm asking,
Chris,
is the justification of the axiom themselves. Okay,
well, and that's fine, Chris. I think you'll find that in the circles that you mix and mingle in, I'm going to hazard a guess that there's a lot of people in the circles that you associate with that have some really definite black and white answers to questions that are complex, where the greatest minds of humanity, working hard, building upon the progress of their predecessors, still don't have any kind of real concrete answer. They have suspicions. They have workable hypotheses that get us through the day. But the people that you associate with in the discords or in the chat rooms, wherever they may be, or perhaps in real life, they have real answers and they can tell you exactly. And I would caution you, Chris, okay? I'm not saying that these folks are wrong. I highly suspect that they don't know what the hell they're talking about. anyone that tells you that they know exactly what the truth is, and it's only one truth, and you need to believe this truth because if you don't, you're in a bunch of hot water, they're probably trying to manipulate you. That's my thought, Chris. So you might be happy that you have a script. You might be happy that you got us to admit quite openly that there are things that we don't know about the universe. But I will tell you that our lack of knowledge is, perhaps unexpectedly, a position of honesty and strength. And the I'll tell you what to believe, I'll tell you what to know is actually a place of weakness, fear, and ignorance. What do you think about that, Chris?
Hello, yeah. Thank you for being honest. And yes, you did it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Again,
Press 1 for answer 1.
Yeah.
I heard you say, I don't know. Press 2 for I don't know.
Para servicio en español, diga español. Come on, Chris. Come on.
You can do better, Chris.
Speak to us like a human being. Take your script, throw it in the recycling bin. Okay? It's not the atheist killer that your Chumbawamba friends told you that it is. It's not.
What's his name? So I can't. Bergenkate, the presuppositionalist, I think. Probably sold it to him.
Yeah, I hope you didn't pay for that script, and I hope that your so-called friends are watching and they pat you on the back and they don't mistreat you because we laughed at you. Anyway, Chris, I appreciate you calling. I do appreciate it. I do highly advise not organizing your thoughts in the form of a linear outline. I did that in my early career, and one squirrely witness dragged me through the mud and back again, and I never did it again. So
it depends on what the definition of is. Oh,
yeah.
shit.
Yeah.